Hello, I'm Tracy. I'm the Somerset Sewist. I have a princess obsessed granddaughter who has a birthday tomorrow. I've bought this bedding, princess bedding from Vinted, and I think I'm going to make something for my granddaughter with it. I'm not sure what though. Right, giving it some thought, and I'm going to make her a little bag. She's got a sleepover coming up at least, and she's a popular little girl, so she's gonna have sleepovers, so I thought I'd make her a little bag that she can take on sleepovers. So I've cut out, we've got to have Belle front and center, she's her favorite, and then I've done a slightly different slice of fabric with the others, and then I've cut two more the same size, a bit previous, because I am going to quilt this, so the lining will probably end up being smaller. Done some wadding for, I'm going to make some little straps, but they're also going to be quilted. And let's see how we do. So I've marked this. I don't think you can see with the best will in the world the lines that I've marked, but I have marked them with a marker. I've just measured against a ruler that I have here. And now I'm just going to sew over those lines to quilt. If I'm plugged in. Yes, I'm plugged in. I was asking my granddaughter today if she wanted Granny to make her something nice for her birthday, and she said, yes, I'd like a bag, please, Granny. She's got to have unicorns on it. Well, I haven't got unicorn fabric, unfortunately. So she's going to have to make do with princesses, but I'm sure she'll be fine with that. She had some other specifications, which were make sure it's got a heart on it. Well, she knows I can make hearts because I made a heart for her boyfriend for Valentine's Day. So not 8 years old yet, and she's got a little boyfriend. They're so cute though. A bit caught up there. So I was going to put a little fluffy, I was going to put a bow and a little fluffy bobble on it, but I'm going to do a bow and a little padded heart on the key ring instead, I think, now. So, you know, we've got to try and meet Madam's specifications. There we are, that's one side done, and I will do the other exactly the same. I'm just quickly quilting the strap. I'm just putting it, I've got the wadding on in the middle here, but I've left a seam allowance on one side. Well, yeah, on one side, and then half of the width on the other side. And I'm just going to go down the middle of that. Then I'm going to fold it in half and sew down the seam allowance. Now I will take a needle and turn it in the right way, but you don't need to watch me do that because I make all sorts of strange noises and pull all sorts of faces while I do that. Right, that's all turned in the right way with a nice little line of quilting kind of ish down the middle. It's not really, it's nothing like down the middle, but it's okay. It did its job. It kept the wadding in place while I turned it in the right way. And now I'm just going to do a few more lines of quilting. Because I think that makes them look very nice. Go. It's not perfectly even, but you know, it's for an 8-year-old's bag, it's fine. She's just going to be blown away by it, so it's okay. Right, here's where we have the moment of truth and see how, whether it, you know, has shrunk smaller than the lining fabric or whatever. Let's have a little look and see. Cut it straight and cut the what's this called? Wadding. cut the wadding away, trim it up, make it tidy. Unlike my sewing room, eh? One of these days I'll do a tour of my sewing room for you all, but it ain't gonna be today. Mainly because my sewing room's an absolute mess. I do need to change my blade. My grandchildren hate me using a rotary cutter because I made a very silly mistake a couple of years ago. I was holding it, doing a quilt, and I was in a hurry, and I held the square I was using like that, chopped, cut into my thumbnail and my thumb. Not a smart move. Of course, I was meant to be looking after them the afternoon, so I had to ring their mum, my daughter, and say, can you come and get me and take me to MIU, please? Which of course she did. It made her late for work, but they were very good about it. But it obviously upset the children, and they don't like Granny using the rotary cutter anymore, which is understandable. Don't know where my proper scissors have gone. Struggling here, but I will get it done. Right, that's that done. I won't make you watch me struggle through with this again. I'm going to do the other side off camera. Don't need to torture you with that. Everything now is trimmed to size. The lining pieces are the same size as the main pieces. And now I'm going to pin the straps on. So go to, did have my tape measure in the hand. There we are. That looks about right. About 5.5 inches from, no, should we call it 5.25 inches from the edge. And then five and a quarter inches from that edge. Call that good. And 5.25 inches from this edge. Just realised I haven't taken the pins out of this yet. And 5.25 inches from this edge. Yes. I am very scatty. But I get there in the end and I make beautiful things, so I guess that's what matters. Right, I'm just going to quickly baste these on, well within the seam allowance. A little bit of extra stitching never does any harm though. Keep them nice and secure. Right, now I'm going to sew the lining onto the outside of the bag. sure it's going nowhere. She's a dainty little thing to look at, but she's not delicate. Bless her heart. See, I've got two granddaughters, and you've never met two children, two girls, to be so very different from each other. They're very lovely. They're both lovely little girls. Are we actually sewing? No, we're not sewing. Okay. You weren't going to tell me, were you? That's that. The lining is sewn to the bag with the handle in it, so that's looking pretty good. So now I have to sew around, put both together. So I've got both sides together. Luckily the strap doesn't fall in the way, so that I don't have to worry too much about that. Right sides together, silly. Right sides together, and I'm going to leave a turning hole in the bottom. I'm just going to start here and sew all the way around. I'm going to go backwards and forwards a few times here, so as I don't rip it when I do the turning. Because I'm going round corners, let's put it so that my needle stays down when I put it down. Just making sure this is matched up lovely. People more proper than me would pin it. I'm using too much more wash hair. There we go. This is the difficult bit, getting over the fluff, but we'll get there. There we go, needle down so that I can turn without too much hassle. There's my turning down, which is quite big enough. And I've just decided I think I want to make it a flat bottomed bag. So that means I am going to pull each corner out like this. Make sure the seams are aligned. One either way, and then take a measurement, pick a point on my sewing machine where I want the point to be. So I'm going to say the edge of my sewing plate, and that's where the point is. I've put the point right there on the edge of my sewing plate, and then I am going to sew straight across. Did I sew straight across or did I not? I don't know if I've actually sewn it. Nope. I know. I'm going to leave that in because it's real. It's me. Not leaving enough thread, so the needle undoes, unthreads is the word I was looking for. Oh. There we go, rethreaded in a second. Right, let's try again. Point. The point on the edge of my sewing plate. same here on the other side. The point on the edge of my sewing plate. I've done it again. It's a recurring theme, people. It's a recurring theme. Right. Pulled out enough. Yay. There we go. Another one. I'm happy with how that's done. Let's do it again. That's straighter. That's fine. And final one. Final corner and and we're done. I'm going to cut the corners off and turn it in the right way. Right, there it is, turned in the right way, and it stands up rather cutely. Sit back so you can see it properly. There you go. It's just turned out so nice. And now I've got to just sew up, if I can find it. I've just got to sew across the hole for the lining, and then I want to sew around the top just to tidy it up a little bit, make it look pretty much perfect for my little princess. Well, she's obviously not my little princess, she's my granddaughter. She's got a lot of people that love her. But I get a share of this. So there we are. That looks quite good enough for the inside of a bag, I think. And now, here we go. Just doing a little top stitch all around the top, obviously, around the top. Top stitch around the bottom wouldn't be quite the same, would it? Am I a little obsessive around the straps, do you think? Maybe. 3 times when I basted it, 3 times when I sewed the lining to the outer, and then 3 times as I'm doing the top stitch. I think the straps are sewed in 9 times. I don't think the straps are going to come out. I don't know, they might. And I think if you wanted to stop there, that's a perfectly adequate, in fact, perfectly lovely little princess bag. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a lovely little bag, but I am actually going to continue and do some little added extras because, well, she's a princess and she needs it. Right, I've just drawn a bow flap, and this is going to be the actual bow. Kind of laid it on here so that it's in proportion with the bag. I do want it to be quite big, but I also want it to be in proportion, not kind of swamp the bag. So now I'm going to cut that out of the same fabric and out of the lining fabric and out of some scrap wadding. Right, let's do the same as we did with the straps, the handles. Sew it to the wadding down the middle. Done that, and now I'm gonna right side to right side. Go all around the edge except a little bit here, and leave a turning gap there. Let's do it this way so I can see where the wadding is. That'll be smart. Started in the wrong place, so I need to move this along. Unthreaded that. I'm thinking 50% of my video is going to be watching me rethread my needle. cut off the corners, tidy up the corners so they're nice and neat. Definitely need to cut across this so it's reasonably sharp, but even with, well, with the wadding in it won't be sharp, but it's going to be a bit tidy. And then I've got to cut up to here, up to, but not actually through the stitching. So if you do cut through the stitching, nobody dies, you just have to resew it, that's all. Quite simple. And then grab hold of it and push it through. Well, that took me a good few minutes, but I've done it, and now I'm going to just sew around the edge, closing up the hole. I'd done my corners better than that, but I haven't, so I'll just pull one out quickly with a pin. Good tip if you ever need it. Nice, doesn't it? I've done the square for the bow in much the same way. I've quilted it, backed it with the pink fabric, the lining fabric, and then gone around the edge. Now I'm going to put it like that. Poor Snow White is a bit squished, but Jasmine's all right. And then I've got this little bit of fabric that I'm going to try and put it so that the heart is front and centre when it goes around here. So I'm going to basically sew a straight line, make a tube, turn it right side in, right side out even. Using one of my pins. Don't know if the whistling's being picked up on the Mike, my son's just got in from work, so typical teenager, comes straight up to his room. Bless him. There we are. So I've put the seam so it's going down the back. The heart falls very nicely in the middle. And I'm going to fold this up, and then I've got some hand sewing to do. I'm going to have to sew this to this. In fact, you know what, I might quickly just do that by machine and then hide it. Yeah, I can do that. Then I can extra special sew it into place. With hand stitching when I sew it all. Let's cut off that end. And then I can, yeah. I'm going to hand stitch it along with the bow ends, which will go the other way because I want them facing each other because they're princesses and they're friendly. I'm going to tie that, sew that to a brooch back. One last thing, I promised little Missy she would have a heart on it. That was one of her requirements. So let's see how this goes. It's got to be a dangly heart. I think that's dangly enough. So there we are. We have a bag, a very beautiful bag with a bow, and now it will also have a heart. I think I put the heart, or I might put the heart the other side actually. So that is the end of this video. I'm going to say this for the first time. I've not said it before. I've made 3 videos and I've not said it in any of the others. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I will be a YouTuber yet. Thank you. Bye.